Good evening. What is up? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. It is Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Norman, London, Mike in Buffalo. The Maple Leafs are through to the second round of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs, finishing off the Ottawa Senators with a 4-2 win in Game 6, and that'll do it. The Leafs set up a little matchup with the, reigning champions, the Florida Panthers. Mr. Augello, good evening, my friend. There's jubilation among the Leafs Nation tonight, rightfully so. Their team has won its second first-round series in, 20 plus years, the second first-round series victory in the last couple of seasons. So for all of the naysaying that we supply and everybody else typically does, the team is still alive and moving forward. Biff and Hap. The question for Mr. Augello tonight, and Mike will lead off with this. Are you a believer now? Good evening.
Good evening. No. But I'm giving the Leafs credit for doing what I didn't think they could do. They put a scare in Leafs Nation. They were up 3-0. They lost 2 games. They lost Game 5 by a particularly despicable performance. And then in Game 6, they took a lead. They played well, but Ottawa climbed back into it, tied the game late. I think gave everybody heart palpitations.
Mm-hmm.
And then Max Pacioretty, who a lot of experts on social media were saying, "Oh, this guy can't be in the lineup," and they're moving up in the lineup. Why?
Right.
Why? Because he's a veteran, and because he wouldn't make the same mistake that Nick Robertson, who I like as a player, made by taking a penalty in I think it was Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they went with the veteran. They went with a guy who, when healthy, has played well, especially in a small window with John Tavares and William Nylander. And that decision resulted in an assist on Nylander's goal to make it 2-0 and the game winner with 5:39 left in the third period.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. May brings with it the most frenetic time period to buy, low interest rates, decent inventory. I'm your guy for Leafs content. I'm your guy for your next vehicle. You got to get at me, OGs and converts, every single month, reaching out to me for the next vehicle. We're one of the bigger Ford dealerships in Ontario. Reach out to me at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. It would mean a lot. Those so-called experts who felt that Max Pacioretty shouldn't have played in Game 6 or that his best days were behind him are probably the ones who dislike physical hockey, who believe in data only. And those are the ones who usually are rooting for or believe in teams that don't win Stanley Cups. Mike, why else would you have signed Max Pacioretty other than for him to perform in moments like last night?
Well, I mean, in defense of those people who are critical of it, they were basically saying he didn't show much in the 2 games that he had played previous.
He hadn't played in months.
I understand that, but that was their point of view.
They were wrong. Let's just get past this and move on.
Yes, they were wrong. But, I mean, that is, like you said, that is the reason why they signed this guy, because he's an experienced player.
Right.
And, he's been through the playoff wars. Him being there at that time for a coach like Berube, who he could trust him to do the right thing.
Right.
And he did at the right time. Now, the thing is, again, they threw a scare in their fan base. I mean, if you looked at the video, and we know, I'm sort of numb to now the fact, they panned Maple Leaf Square for the, when they score a goal, everybody's going batshit crazy. Or when the other team scores a goal, it looks like, they're attending their father's funeral.
Right.
The range of emotions are way up and down. But
yeah, but who's to blame for the range of emotions and the way it's conveyed to the masses? It's the media, Mike. The fans are going to cheer when their team scores. They're going to be dejected and not too into it when their team doesn't. This could be the first game of the regular season. It's the media exacerbating the circumstance with a camera on thousands of people who are out to watch their team in the playoffs.
I'll push back on that a little bit. It's not just the media, it's the team itself and the way that they've performed over that 21-year span. When the fact that, this team has won one playoff series in that span, and now, the fans are jubilant at the fact that they won over a team that they were significantly better than, even though I give Ottawa a lot of credit and they have a lot of talent on that team. The Leafs should have won this series going away, especially when they're up 3-0. They let that team back in the series. They were on the precipice of going back to Toronto tomorrow night, facing elimination in a deciding Game 7. And if you didn't think that this team could blow this series, I'm sorry. Okay. I think they could have, but they came up big.
Right.
They got a decent goaltending performance. Not a great goaltending performance, but a decent goaltending performance from Anthony Stolarz. He only faced 23 shots. I don't blame him for the tying goal that went off either his back of his shoulder or the back of his head. I'm not that much of a of a critic that I can't give him credit for. But they sat back on the lead, try to hold a 2-1 lead. Then they tie it up with that Perron goal, and less than 2 minutes later, they get the lead back, and that is what a veteran team with some experience and a lot of talent is able to do.
How do you think Winnipeg Jets fans feel tonight? How do you think Colorado Avalanche fans feel tonight? How do you think Edmonton Oilers fans feel tonight? Mike, the Stanley Cup playoffs aren't easy. Like, did you really expect the Leafs to just sweep the Senators and anything else was a disappointment? I mean, they got through in 6 games. No. Maybe they tantalized us, or the tantalizing idea of a sweep after winning 3 games and not being able to do that. Sure, there's disappointment there. But had this been a tit for tat and the result being a 6-game series win for the Maple Leafs, you would have taken it. I just don't think you like how the composition took form and the result taking as long as it did.
For form matters. And that's the thing. It's like if they were tied 2-2 after 4 games and then they win Game 5 in Toronto and then win Game 6 in Ottawa, I wouldn't be complaining as much. They were up 3-0. I know that the two games were overtime games and it could have gone either way, but you're up a commanding 3-0. You have a commanding 3-0 lead on a team that, and I don't even remember how many points they finished ahead of them. It was probably over. I think it was probably 15 points.
Right.
You need to bury that team. And
does the Leafs just not have the killer instinct, Mike? And the fact that it took them 6 games after being up 3-0 is that indicative of what we should expect against a team like Florida?
Well, I mean, you can see already by the betting line, the Florida Panthers are the favorite, even though the Leafs won the division.
Well, they should.
It was only by a couple points, but the point is, you're talking Stanley Cup champion, even though it's not the same exact roster. You're talking championship pedigree. You're talking about they have an advantage in goal. You're talking about they have an advantage up front. I think the Leafs defense is better than the Florida Panthers, and that might be where the Leafs can make hay in this series. But now,
go
ahead. I'm sorry.
So Florida's penalty kill is better in these playoffs. The Leafs' power play is slightly better in these playoffs. I don't care what Vegas thinks. We all know that the Panthers are the favorite. And, whether the Leafs are the favorites or the underdogs, I don't really think it matters to us or to them. Mike, the 2 words that you've been exclaiming and proclaiming and shouting from the rooftop, show me. The Leafs did show you against the Senators, and they must show you against the Panthers.
Yes.
I mean, we can talk about how this thing might shake out, and we're just going to go at it dependent on, our moods following each and every game that's to come. I don't know if it's worth our time to project too much about that series right now because there's still a lot to unpack. One thing I wanted to mention to you, and I'm sure you saw it, just the way the goals were scored in Game 6, and for the most part in the series, nothing in close, nothing for certain. There were a couple of dipsy-doos, but like everything was just a seeing eye shot. Put it on net. I mean, especially in Game 6, low and away, everything just down along the ice. It was deflections and stuff like that. I mean, that's playoff hockey, because the front of the net and anywhere you're typically used to operating, or when you get a chance to operate and you have the most success, is just taken away. Is that how it's going to have to be against the Panthers, or do you think that they're just going to have to roll up their sleeves and muck it up and get in tight to score those kinds of goals?
Well, 2 of the 3 goals, and the empty netter we're not going to count because it was just an empty netter, but 2 of the 3 goals that put them in the lead had traffic in front.
Right.
The Austin Matthews goal on the power play, Matthew Knies was screening Linus Ullmark. It was a shot along the ice that fit into a space of about that much. But it counts, so you'll take it. The Nylander goal was, I believe, far post on Ullmark. Great shot. But the Pacioretty goal, there was traffic in front of the net, and Ullmark didn't see it, and he got it inside the post. So traffic in front of the goal is going to have to be what you do to take the eyes away from Sergei Bobrovsky. Will
there be any space to operate in front of Bobrovsky? Can Matthew Knies and Pacioretty and Ryan Reeves, can anybody get in front of this guy and score on rebounds or get loose pucks or anything like that? Or do you feel like that's just a no-go zone for anyone?
Well, if they don't do it, they'll lose the series.
That's a tall task, man.
They have to do it. No, the thing is, the Florida defense,
right,
is, you've got big boys like Nico Mikkola and Aaron Ekblad and Seth Jones. You won't have Ekblad for the first game of the series because he got suspended for 2 games. Kulikov is a solid veteran. But their defense isn't great. It's not. But what is great is the support that they have from the forwards and the collection of rats that they have in terms of, and this is where the series is going to be won or lost. The Leafs cannot allow the Florida Panthers to get in their kitchen, in their heads. Brad Marchand has made a career of it.
Do you think that the Senators will become what the Panthers are? And how do you think that benefits the Leafs going into the second round? Playing a team that seems to be growing in the mold of the team that is still the reigning champion and the one that is fully seasoned, and the Leafs have to contend with in the next week, 2 weeks.
Well, I think that this team and what they showed in the first round in spots is what they will have to do to beat Florida. There were instances where against Ottawa, Ridley Gregg was playing his game of crap. His
game of crap. Is that going to be the title of his autobiography when his playing days are over?
It should be etched on his tombstone.
You would take him on the Leafs, though, Mike, and you know that. So.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but he's the type of player that you love him if he's on your team, and if he's not on your team, you want him dead. They had a couple other players. They have a couple other players like that. Brady Tkachuk is a great player and a pain in the ass to play against. Multiply that by 3 or 4 when it comes to the Florida Panthers, because it's going to be Bennett, it's going to be Matt Marchand, it's going to be Barkov is not dirty, but he's annoying to play against. Tkachuk is a pain. He's a really good player. And now he wants to get revenge for his brother who lost to the Leafs. Right. So and Ekblad is dirty. You saw what he did against Brandon Hagel in the series against Tampa Bay. This is going to be a pitched battle, and the Leafs better be prepared for it. And if they're not prepared for it and not prepared to do what they did in spots against Ottawa, they will lose the series.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about what's to come. I want to think about it over the next, 72 hours. What frightens me as a Leaf fan is just how emphatic and how, with the amount of force and just how quick and efficiently the Panthers dispatch their state rivals.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, I was expecting that series to be what Dallas and Colorado has.
They got rid of them, Mike. They got rid of them like they got rid of them like they've never won a title before, and these are the reigning champions. I mean, that is something that I hope that the Leaf brass is taking notice of.
Well, I mean, one of the things that was a factor in that series, and like I said, we expected that to be the Dallas and Colorado of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Was the fact that Andrei Vasilevsky played like he had his head up his ass. He played terribly. I mean, he was a sieve in 2 of the 5 games of that series. So, you take so Bobrovsky clearly won the goaltending battle, and Florida outdirtied Tampa. Tampa they're not exactly, but I didn't see Nikita Kucherov pulling his stuff, because he knew if he did pull the stuff that he's pulled against other teams, somebody would knock his block off.
But if we're looking at similarities, Ottawa lightly emulates Florida with the hope of becoming a Florida team, but you can see the blueprint taking shape. The Leafs and Tampa are very similar. The fact that Florida dispatched the Lightning, with such purpose, has to make us, make the Leaf fan base feel, the Leafs fans who are paying attention, feel that, I mean, the underdog moniker is absolutely 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
But what is going to be different about the Leafs in the second series from what the Florida Panthers were able to contain and eliminate in the first?
Well, okay, first of all, if you're comparing Toronto to Tampa, I mean, I still think Vasilevsky, even though we have the hindsight of seeing how he played against Florida, he's a better goaltender than either Wall or Stolarz.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Even though statistically they both had good years, Vasilevsky had an excellent year. But the problem with Tampa is they have 2 defensemen. They have a great veteran in Ryan McDonough, and they have Victor Hedman. After that, their number 3 is basically J.J. Moser. Cernak, sure. I think but Cernak was dinged early in that series. I don't know if he really played that well afterward. Their defense was not that good. The one thing that, a lot of people, may be critical of Brad Treliving, but he has built the Leafs defense, the defense that I've been advocating for a decade. With Carlo and Tanev on the right side. Simone Benoit is a good 5'6". I mean, but the problem is, during the regular season, he played, like a proctologist.
Maybe Philip Nyers, who knows? Terry G, 3Gs. The Leafs are not like Tampa, Norm. They're not worn down like Tampa. I mean, he's got a point, but Tampa's worn down after winning 2 cups. So, I mean, Tampa can be worn down, and they can slip into a warm bath and they have rings on their fingers.
Yeah.
So give them some credit. Give them some credit. I mean, every power has its rise and every power has its fall. I would just like the Leafs. I mean, whether it's pie in the sky, whether it's just fantastical to have its rise, and this is going to be a major deal in whether the team can rise or fall ultimately. And that's take down the reigning champions and a team that plays a different kind of game than the Maple Leafs, and a game that the Leafs typically don't fare well against.
Yeah, I mean, and just to continue the comparative,
right?
Tampa Bay was a top-heavy team like the Leafs have been in previous years. The investment, you add a veteran like Pacioretty, you get back a veteran like Kalle Järnkrok, who everybody's saying, get rid of his salary. And now on that 4th line, which has been excellent with Lorentz and Lawton, I mean, Berube loves that line because they're consistent. They go in, they grind, they play well defensively. They change the momentum of the game. the random element in this for them has been that third line, and when the top six doesn't show up. But that third line, well, they scored the game-winning goal. Max Domi scored an overtime goal in game 2. So they got something out of their bottom six, something that Tampa really didn't get a lot of, and they're going to have to continue to do that because Florida is not as deep as they were last year. They lost Montour. They lost Ekman-Larsson. They lost Lomborg. They lost Lorenz. They lost a lot of guys. Giovanni, stick it. They didn't show me up. I mean, like I said, the Leafs needed to show me that they could play that way.
Yeah, but they didn't show you up. Mike, they didn't show you up. Where the hell were they in game 5? And what bothered me is that resembled the kinds of games that the Leafs didn't show up in during the regular season. When it was, getting retribution against Ridley Gregg, or playing the Florida Panthers, or playing in a game where it meant something and they didn't do anything. And then 2 nights later, they outclassed the team that really didn't have any skin in the cultural aspect of what the Leafs are about, and or the kinds of rivalries that we're trying to propagate. So, I mean, they got it done with time to spare in the series against Ottawa. What's going to happen against the Florida Panthers? I mean, they cannot take a game off. Even if they lose, they have to take some flesh. And, Nylander scored 2 goals last night. He's got his empty netter. He leads the team in points with 9. Matthews scored a goal, and we're waiting for him to erupt, which I don't think is going to happen. Mitch Marner has been around, but he hasn't been he wasn't as dominant in the back half of the series as he was in the front half. And no one was around in game 5. So, look, we're hypercritical of a team that hasn't done anything substantive ever in this current generation of player and fan base. So here we go into the second round against, like a juggernaut of a team, a freight train out of control, and a team that plays a game the Leafs are not typically good at faring against. Like, I mean, we can talk a little bit more about it, especially if we do another show before puck drop on the second round. But I mean, these are things that I'm just thinking about, and fans have to think about. And it's really hard to start dreaming of a parade down Bay when there is such a major task ahead of them, and a task that we all know they do not do very well when up against this kind of hockey. Last few words to you, Mike, and we'll get out of here.
Well, I think it's imperative and necessary for the Maple Leafs, as much as they played well at times in this previous series against the Senators, if they have any chance of winning this upcoming series, they're going to have to reach a higher level. Now, I think they're capable of that. I think they have the talent to do that. I think they have some veterans that they've added to this roster that can get to that level. Again, it's the onus is going to be on the core group. And what's going to happen. They're going to match up Barkov against Matthews. Barkov is, he's nominated for the Selke. He's one of the best defensive forwards and a pretty good offensive forward. You're going to have Tkachuk running people. You're going to have Bennett, as he did a couple years ago with Matthew Nyes. Now, Matthew Nyes was a rookie at that point, and, sort of green. And Sam Bennett ended his season with a check behind the boards. Keep your head on a swivel, because this team will knock you into tomorrow every chance they get. And that's what I mean. The Leafs are going to have to step it up to a higher level if they have any chance to win the series against the Florida Panthers.
It's crazy to think that the Florida Panthers will be this predictable. So the Leafs can game plan, and it's almost as if there's nothing they can do other than rising to a level that we're skeptical they can reach, and the Florida Panthers, for whatever reason, just falling apart.
Well, I don't know if they'll fall apart. I mean, what's going to be critical here.
But we know, Mike, sorry to interrupt. Like, do you think Paul Maurice, as he's preparing his team, is saying, "Okay, guys, let's just do what we did last year and we'll win"?
Yeah, I think he's
Really?
going to.
Wow.
Yes, because it won. Why would you have to deviate? You don't deviate from that.
How did the Leafs game plan? It's almost like this has nothing to do with strategy. It just has to do with will and the want and the desire to accomplish something you haven't, and to thwart this ascent that the Panthers look like they're on, and that is to defend their championship, potentially win another one.
I think will has a lot to do with it. Now, again, the Panthers are not the same Panthers. They're not as strong as they were, but they did add a future Hall of Famer in Marchand at the deadline, and he's playing on the
ceremonial more than he is.
No, he's playing on the third line. He's playing very effective, and we know that guy, as recently as last year, made a difference in the Leafs losing to the Boston Bruins. They should have never lost that series. They were the better of the two teams, but because of the inconsistencies of this team and the fact that the core group did not show up against the Boston Bruins, that was the reason why they lost. Now, the core group, when they faced Tampa 2 years ago, they showed up. They scored, at least most of the time. They scored enough points. They scored enough on the power play to be able to win this series. Again, I think they need to be careful of the 5-forward power play, because Florida, with Marchand, with Barkov, with Sam Reinhart, with these guys, they will counterattack and they will stick that down your throat. So it's going to be a battle, and if the Leafs aren't up for the battle, they're going to lose the war.
If this were a scripted Hollywood movie with an ending that we can create, the Leafs would beat the bullies that come from Sunrise. But unfortunately, this is not a Hollywood script. This is reality. I want to get to a quick comment, and I would like to get to the genesis of the reasoning behind the comment. Point guard, Mike whining is a tough listen. Point guard, and again, I'm not going to shit on you, but I want to know why you think Mike is whining. Do you think he's whining because he's telling it like he believes it is? Because I haven't heard any whining. If you're still in the chat, point guard, what do you mean by Mike is whining? I haven't heard him really whine about anything. Are you wanting him to go rah, 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 we're winning the cup this year?
Yeah.
That's not the content we create. Point
Let me go get my pom-poms there.
What the hell? But I don't understand OG's converse. What is Mike whining about? Please, and Mike, listen. I run the show. I run this small operation, and all I do is get yelled at or shit on, or for swearing, or being a jerk, or arrogant, or the stuff I hear about you. Yet when they lose and everyone's frustrated, Mike, you are spot on. But whining? What are you whining about? I don't get it. Like, we're here. This is live. You can hear and see. How are you conflating this with any other message that you think that we have for you other than show us? Okay, Mike, last word to you definitively. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yes, I'm a lovable curmudgeon, as Commander Brantford said in the chat. Which but like I said, I give this team the credit when they deserve it.
What are you whining about?
No, he said I am not whining. That's what he said.
Right. Okay.
But I give this team credit when they deserve it and when I think they've earned it. And they earned it by winning the series, because I was expecting them to lose the series.
Right.
Okay. Now, everybody is expecting them to lose to Florida. There are certain things that this team can do, and we'll lay them out when we do the Sunday Spectacular, that will enable them to win the series. But if they don't do them, they will lose the series.
Right. Yeah. But I don't see how they win the series. I mean, tactically, spiritually, historically, how they win the series. But it doesn't mean they can't. They have to show us. And as you pointed out, they have to reach a level that we've never seen them reach before, and that they might not even be able to comprehend reaching until the moment arises, right? It's a game at a time. and we'll talk more about the Leafs Panthers coming up. We don't even know when the series is going to start. We're all in on it, and that's the beautiful part of it all, is that the longer the Leafs go, the more content we can create. So this is a Friday night, 48 hours less than. We'll do the Sunday Spectacular, and we'll start to look forward to Leafs Panthers. I don't think our mindset is going to change much between now and then, but it's not like the Leafs have 2 championships in the bag, and we're pretty confident that they can get through, and anything other than another finals appearance is going to be a complete shock to us. There is no pedigree. This is all uncharted territory. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for being here. It means a lot to us. Mr. Augello, what's going on with your new project? I see it's up and running, or at least in a beta way. Congratulations on that. How can we find it? What do we need to do to get there and support the cause?
Well, hockeyhotstove.com we're still working a few of the bugs out, but it's live, and I've been posting Leaf blogs for the last 3 or 4 days. You can go there and read my Leaf blog there. I recommend it. We also have forums, so people can chat with each other like they did on my previous employer. With my previous employer during the games, which I always used to jump in there and interact. And is the home of the Leafs Convo, and off the post at our blogger and forum page and the podcast page. You can go there and look and watch some of the previous shows to see how my sunny personality just came out.
I love the old school forums. They remind me of like the, late 90s, early 2000s, ESPN, Raptors, Magic, game, whatever. You get in there and you post a topic and nobody would comment on it. Then all of a sudden a topic that you created just ignites and goes wild. And then, that kind of thing moved into like the real-time social media, Twitter and stuff like that. So I don't mind the old school forums. I really don't. I think that's kind of cool. And I really like what you guys are doing there. Just something amazing for true hockey fans, and whatever we can do to support it, we will, because you're supporting us. OG's Converse, thank you so much. We'll leave you with Giovanni's comment here because it's a long one and I know he's thought about it. Yes, the core 4 will be held in check. It will be up to the bottom 6 players to get key goals in this series. If they play like last night, it may go 6 games. Florida winning the series. I mean, it's a realistic take, but let's be honest. It's the core 4, core 5 that will have to find a way to rise above and come alive like it's never come alive before, like it's never performed before. If this team is going to do anything, there's no way that Max Pacioretty is going to be handed the Conn Smythe Trophy after a that improbable Stanley Cup run. It's going to be one of the core 5, bursting out of themselves to become something that we don't believe they can become, but may still be within them,
I don't see Sam Reinhart being held in check, or Carter Verhaeghe or Barkov or Reinhart. They don't get held in check. They score. That is what the Leafs core group has to do. If they don't, this team will not win waiting for Max Domi and Steven Lorenz and Max Pacioretty to score goals. The big boys make the big money, have to score the big goals and set up the big and make the big assists. If they don't, I don't see how they win. So we'll see.
Is it within them? There are a few days between now and puck drop on this series for the next phase of their capabilities, the most successful phase of their capabilities to come alive, and the Leafs will just have to unfurl them before everyone's eyes and allow allow the fan base to feel something and see something they haven't before. But there's still time, and we've got some time to talk about it. For Mr. Augello, I'm Norm James. The Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario is out for now, but like the content, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you. The Sunday Spectacular is just around the corner. Enjoy this. We're still alive. There's a series to come. Keep the faith, guys. We're out of here.